is a lesson. So when I run into rejection, I know it's only redirection. I see the blessings right beside me. The chances of quitting are likely. I do it like I'm in my Nikes. Don't make excuses, they never excite me. Boxes, boxes, I cannot fit in the boxes. Stop it, stop it. Quitting was never an option. Exhausted, exhausted. This passion is never exhausted. And you cannot stop it. Nah, you cannot stop it.
Good morning, Knicks universe. Welcome back to another episode of the Knicks Morning Brew on this Wednesday, December 6th. Like always, I am joined by my hermanos, my guy, Mr. Phil or Caps, my brother Celso Porto, and with the sad look on his face, my guy Jerry Ferrara. Boys, good morning.
What up? Jerry's back from vacation, and the first episode back is after that shit show last night.
What?
Yay!
What? A great run while I was gone.
Yeah. Here we go. We started the Jerry.
I'm not saying I'm quitting, but I just want to point out, I mean, the Wizards, the Heat, who else? The Pistons. We knew that was going to happen. The Raptor, just a great run while I was gone.
That sounds like he might be putting in his resignation, guys. He's just saying, hey, if it's going to give us wins.
I'll tell you what the sad look is because looking at the TNT show after the game and listening to Barkley say, the Knicks are always going to be in the middle if they don't get a star. Well, first of all, thanks for the update. We haven't been talking about getting a star here in a long time.
I'm telling you, Jerry, if we actually had pre-production meetings, I couldn't imagine the level of this show. You know why? Check this out.
Years. The Knicks, they got the same team, am I correct? Yes. They haven't added anything new. So thinking the move is going to end differently, it's not going to end differently. The Knicks need to make a trade because they're at best, and I'm not looking at the standings, they're not even there. Boston, Milwaukee, and Philly, they're on a whole nother level in the Eastern Conference.
I have a thing.
Go ahead.
We're talking about the East, and you guys can answer this. This is why the Knicks are going to stay in the middle. Every game that they play, they always have the second best player. You play Boston, you got the second or third best player. You play Orlando with Banchero. They don't have a player that's better than Banchero.
All right.
Milwaukee, we know they don't.
Calm down,
Philadelphia, they don't. The Indiana Pacers, Tyrese Halliburton is the best player on the floor, if you say that.
Correct.
If you play the Miami Heat, Jimmy Butler is the best player on the floor. You play the Cleveland Cavaliers, you have Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
You don't have the best player on the floor no night. Now, they can play better than you, but they are not walking into the gym and saying,
You have no margin for error.
So he's talking about the same Cleveland Cavaliers team that we beat in the playoffs in the first round last year, right? That Cleveland
Did he really
team?
say Banchero, though? That one I was like, oh,
Yeah.
come on.
Me and Eddie on the playback last night trying to figure out, someone asked where Paolo ranks, and we just started naming players we thought were better, and he's 32 on.
He's up there. He's a solid NBA player, but this is his
great.
second year.
He's young. But wow, and I'm with you. The Cavs, you're gonna throw the Cavs. Look, Mitchell's amazing. Yes, on paper, he's probably better than anyone we have, but we handled them last year. And then, all right, finish the rest of the league now. All right, the Hawks, we have better players. The Pistons, we have better players. The Raptors, we have better players. Finish the rest of the East. You name the top 4 teams almost in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And they brought up the Boston Celtics, the same Celtics that lost to the Indiana Pacers. Those Celtics is who they bring up.
I mean, it's look, Nick says, guys, they're exaggerating, but they aren't wrong. To an extent, I agree. They're not wrong. If you look at some of the teams they named, Milwaukee, right? We know in a 7-game series, are we any of us comfortable that we can walk away with that series? Especially seeing how we played again last night. They have our number, and we don't. But to say that we can't have a better player on our team any given night, I think that's wrong. I really do.
Look. It's not rocket science. Go down the list of NBA champs for the last 10 years. Most every time, and probably LeBron is the problem because he was always in the finals for so long, but there's a top 5 player on every championship team. So if you're saying we need a top 5 player, sure. There's 5 of them in the whole league. So what are we saying? It's a dumb argument.
Yeah.
Phil, how you feeling, bro?
The thing about national media like that is like you have to speak in hyperbole, to keep rates up, But if you look at it, when it comes to some of the things he's saying, there's truth. Like you go up against some of these teams and, like there were so many people yesterday that were like Knicks by 5, Knicks by 3, Knicks by 8, Knicks by 12. We did not even come close to like winning that game, So at the end of the day, it showed a lot in that game that we are unfortunately further away than a lot of us wish that we were. It exposed a lot in our team yesterday. And so, yes, there's hyperboles and the Bancheros and da-da-da-da-da. But when you look at the fact that this kid's in his second season and he's already cracked what most would say is top 30 in the NBA right now, that's not promising for where we're going. Like there's none of our guys that are in their second, third season that are going to be, on that same level as Banchero. And if you look at his stats besides rebounds are pretty much neck and neck with Julius Randle's. So if we're saying, no, not best player, Jalen Brunson to me would still be best player on the court in that scenario, but it shouldn't be even that close, that like a team that is completely just rebuilding. And I would say this is like their second year of the rebuild, like it is at this point with us. Like we thought continuity was going to be what like helped us, which in certain things it has. It's helped us beat the teams that we should beat and, compete with, the teams at the same level. But it doesn't have us competing with these teams that are the Bostons and the Milwaukees, of the league, unfortunately.
Not many people are going to be able to compete with Boston and Milwaukee when Boston has Jason Tatum, Milwaukee has Giannis. Those are two superstars right there in the league. Not every team has a star or a superstar, as they want to say. When you look at our team and our starting lineup, we got a bunch of scrappy NBA players. Jalen Brunson, he's a scrappy guy. Julius Randle's a scrappy guy. RJ Barrett is scrappy. We just need to find a certain balance with our role players. Is Josh Hart the answer as the backup power forward? Quentin Grimes just came out and said he's frustrated with his role on the team, and that came out of nowhere. And I know we're going to get into that conversation, but is Quentin Grimes going to be on our team by the time the trade deadline comes and goes? We don't know. These are all questions for the front office. Thank God that they get paid to answer those questions, and I don't.
I mean, let's be real. Last night's game, Julius showed up, right? Brunson showed up. Could we have gotten more? Yeah. But nobody else showed up last night, Jerry. Like
I'm pissed
I feel
at
like
this whole conversation. I'm pissed at this whole conversation.
I love you too, Jerry.
No. I mean, what I'm saying is like Giannis, Embiid, and Tatum. You could argue that's 2, 3, and 4 in the entire NBA. You can go Jokic, Giannis, Embiid. Pick your order, Tatum, whatever. You want to put Curry ahead of him, LeBron, whatever. Those are 3 of the top 5 players in the NBA. So if you're measuring yourself up against that, yes. You want to say we're in the middle? Probably right. We're probably that measuring stick of like great teams, good teams, below average teams, We're probably right in that middle, but we're ahead of schedule. We are ahead of schedule. And there is not one of those top 5 to 7 players in the NBA available right now. They're just not. Yeah. So you could say all you want. You got to go get a star. Who's the star? So you could either wait for that to happen, or you could continue to build your roster with young talent. Look, you want to talk about Orlando? Great. Paolo's not available for 5 more years to be unrestricted. He'll be unrestricted in 5 more years. What the fuck should we do then?
Wait for
we'll
Quentin
sign
Grimes
him
to
in 5
develop.
years? Should we tank and hope he was the number 1 overall pick? So should we tank and try and get the number 1 overall pick and hope that we land and make the right choice? Or should we keep building on what we have? Bullshit. I mean, Randle's made 2 All-NBAs in 3 years, and he had an awful start to the season. One of the historically worst shooting starts a player's ever had, and now he's caught his stride. coming off of surgery. So enough of all that.
And even with Brunson doing well, it wasn't like it was a great game from him last night.
And
it was still
I personally, I don't look at last night like some big disaster.
No,
I don't look at it like we were
exposed.
I don't look like we were exposed. I don't look like it was a disaster. I think we hung with one of the best teams in the league for 3.5 quarters, and they shot an elite level that we won't see again probably from 3 in the NBA all year. We probably won't see it. Now, you could poke holes in our defense. Why are they getting so many open threes? Sure, but that's typically not our problem. So if we're talking about correctable things, better closeouts and guarding the 3 is a little bit correctable to me with Tibbs. They have one of the best pick and roll and horns plays in the league. It's almost unstoppable. I'm not saying we should just give up. We were right there through 3 quarters. Tie game. Yeah. And then they just kept hitting, and we didn't. They kept hitting shots.
I mean, and I wanted to add on. No, I just want to add on real quick, and I'll throw it over to you, Sells. In a 7-game series, do anybody believe in 7 games Michael Beasley is going to hit 60% from the field in 7 games? No. Malik Beasley, I mean.
Do I give us 2 games in a 7-game series against the Bucks? Maybe. So what was exposed? The Bucks are better than the Knicks. Whoa! Fucking
news!
Shocker!
Breaking news!
Shocker! And we do need a backup. In my opinion, we need more shooting and a backup power forward. I'll keep saying it. To me, if you want to say what was illuminating, Bobby Portis comes in and backs Josh Hart down and scores 3 times in a row. And it's just because Josh Hart's 4 inches smaller and 30 pounds lighter.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about it last night, right? In the playback, Jerry. They shot 60.4% from field goal, 60.5% from 3. Their total made threes was the total amount of threes we actually took last night.
It's that's discouraging. And I said this on the playback too, right? The Bucks are hitting all their open and contested threes, right? Dame's hitting, Beasley's hitting, Giannis hit a fucking pull-up 3. Everyone's hitting. And the Bucks now are really good at defense. So what happens when you're taking the ball out of the hoop and inbounding and running your offense against a set Bucks defense with no transitional options? It's a nightmare. The Bucks played a perfect game. It was almost a baseball equivalent of a perfect game.
Right. And that's why we said last night, like, this isn't, oh my God, blow it up. Oh my God, we're horrible. It was, you went up against the Bucks. Yeah. Did they just hit every freaking shot? And we've said it before, heck, right? Where if we allow that perimeter shot and the other team is on fire, we lose those games.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of times we win games because the other team isn't hitting those threes and our defense is able to catch up. Right. Yeah. I agree with a lot of people in the chat right now where last night was one of those games where you can really sit there and say, we held it together for the first half, but then that third quarter of doom came and we never recovered, period, in that second half.
I can't tell if Knicks are nice as trolling because saying like the weak ones got exposed. So was it the Celtics are weak?
No, I think he's talking about in our roster, you know. So
in our roster,
I'm not to the extreme of, you know, oh, we're trash, let's blow it up, that some people are, but I'm also not as optimistic as Jerry is right now.
Sorry, my optimism is I think we're ahead of schedule. That's as far as my optimism goes. Okay. Like if we get back to the second round again, I'm thrilled. That's my optimism.
I personally don't think that we played good 3 quarters. I think we played a good 2 quarters. I feel like Julius Randle played well for the game. But I think he was the only one that was actually who actually showed up to compete yesterday. And it's kind of disgusting because if you look at it in the second half, yes, they were playing, you know, stellar basketball, third quarter, almost shooting 60%, which is crazy. But when we're only shooting 36% as a team coming into the third quarter in a neck and neck game, there's no way we're going to compete. And we were killing it. We had 17 assists in that first half. We were actually moving the ball. And even though guys like Brunson and whatever weren't playing their greatest basketball, they were getting open looks because the ball was moving. So it was like grace to them to get points. In the second half, we went from 17 assists in the first half to down to 10 assists in, you know, combined in the second half. So we stopped really moving the ball. And that's the issue is like, as a coach, how do you not coach? Do not stray away from the things that are working for us right now. We shouldn't even be in this game, and these are the things that are helping us stay in it. And then you see them start to slip away from that. Why do you allow it? So when you guys were talking about, the game with Indiana and Boston, the huge difference is if you look at their whole lineup, I'm not even going to say the players, but 21 points, 12 points, 17 points, 13 points, 26 points, 14 points, 16 points. That's the players that played for them in that game against Boston. Then ours, we go, let's get a full game on this one. So we get 23 points, 41 points, 2 points, 0 points, 24 points, 11 points, 7, 4, 7, 0, 3, 0. Like,
okay, I get it.
How many non-contributors did we have? Of course, we were going to lose against a team like that. Indiana won that game against Boston because every single player showed up to play. Like, and that's the issue. That's the hard thing is you watch an interview with their team saying, yeah, this game's important to us. We're going to come and play. And then they delivered. I want to see that same kind of effort from all of our guys. And I don't think we saw that in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, and when you look at it, right, we lost by 24 points. Cameron Payne had 14 points, and some guy named AJ Green had 15 points. First of all, AJ Green looks like he streams Fortnite. I'm gonna just throw that out there right now, right? But you can expect Tom Thibodeau, if this was a 7-game series, the next game we would have played against the Bucks, those guys aren't scoring double digits, right? So we can't. Yes, Dame Lillard's going to get his points. Giannis is going to get his points, but you can't let Payne and Green kill you off of the bench for a combined 29 points. You just can't let those two guys kill you. Like I said, Giannis is going to get his points. Dame is going to get his points. You can't let Cameron Payne and AJ Green kill you for 29 points.
You got to tip your hat. What are you going to do? Because that dude Green hit 2 threes in the first quarter, I think, or maybe a second quarter, wide open ones at that, but they were all off of the Giannis Dame pick and roll, right? So they run that. Dame hits the slip to Giannis. Giannis comes in, draws all the attention. He kicks. So you pick your poison. Do you want Giannis going to the hoop with a full head of steam, 1-on-1 with Robinson, who was bad last night? Or do you want to pack the middle, build a wall, kick out, and hope that someone rotates to even get a tiny hand in his face? And the dude hit the shots. The dude hit the shots. And we were hitting those shots in the first half. The second half, the Bucks came out and turned up the defense. We did not answer the bell. I personally thought, now we could put a lot of this on the bench. I thought Tibbs, and I said it on playback, stayed with the starters a little too. He didn't get the bench in the third quarter, and I know that's the normal rotations, till about 5 minutes to go in the third. And the tide had already turned. Randle was still playing good, but they were doubling Brunson. Grimes, we know, we'll talk about him in a minute. And by that point, the bench got in, and the bench brought us back. The bench cut back into the lead, got it down to like 7, and then it just was a wait. They hit everything.
Yeah.
They hit everything.
Real quick, guys. Shout out Blood the Panther with a $5 super chat, helping us keep the lights on. The truth is that with the looming CBA, we need to trade back up into the draft and get a talent that fits us now while they develop, but we won't. All right, we'll touch on that one. Double A with the $4.99 super chat. When are we going to finally draft or get one? Many teams have added stars over the last decades, have drafted and developed. All right, these are good because we'll jump on these. And then our boy Jay Boogie with the $10 super chat. Shout out to the chat and the panel. Breaking news, the remix presented by Jay Boogie and Podcast Records is now officially up on all platforms.
Nice.
Jay Boogie dropped the link in the chat for everybody so they can check it out. And he said the full album, they're both dropping in January. Salute Jay Boogie, the closer. Appreciate you, my guy. Go check out that breaking news. Jerry.
I'm pissed. Pissed off right now. I'm pissed off.
Breaking news. Jerry's pissed.
I'm pissed off with Knicks fans right now and the commentary and I'm just I don't know. I was actually okay with it last night. Now I'm just way more pissed off and fired up.
Yeah, see, it kind of reminds me when we were talking to Knicks last season with the Knicks Morning Brew, right? Where we sat there and said, hey, for everybody begs, let's see the guys develop. Let's see the young guys play. But Hector, tell me if I'm wrong. And Phil and Jerry, how many times do we sit there and say, when you ask for that, you understand it's going to take time. You're going to take a step back. You're not going to see the ECF right away. If you want to see IQs and you want to see Grimes and you want to see these guys develop, this is what it looks like. Mm-hmm. You're going to be that middle of the pack. You're not going to be on that top. Go ahead, Phil, because I know you got stuff to say on it.
That's the problem, though, is we chanted that in their rookie and sophomore seasons. We chanted that in their rookie and sophomore seasons. We're not in those seasons anymore. So, unfortunately, us not seeing them get that play that we were chanting for then now has them going in and playing these games in times where we're considered like pushing for contention, and it's a little too late. It's a little too late for these guys to start getting like that development. That should have already happened. So I think the frustrating part with like what fans see in the franchise is that you see teams like the Orlandos and the OKCs that are doing it with their players in their first and second seasons. And we're like, we should have been doing that then, you know, and like now we're trying to compete and it's a little too late and we're blaming those guys. And I think where people really get frustrated from what I'm hearing and what I feel myself is that with the continuity also comes things that should have not continued, you know, like continuity is good to a point, but we're here again for how many seasons saying we have a problem guarding the 3-point line. We can't let Milwaukee, you know, kill us from 3. Where do they kill us from? 3. That is not a continuity thing I want to see continue, is the fact that we can't guard the 3-point line, you know? So things like that, you know, when you have players like Dame coming out and being like, yeah, we scored 146, but it easily could have been 165 if we didn't miss our shots. Like, that hurts, you know, like that hurts to have to hear that he's like, the only reason we didn't almost get 200 points on the Knicks is because we missed shots that we should have hit. Like, that sucks, you know? And so I understand the Knicks fan base because we should not be having those talks. We should not be having the same Jerry talk about why is the rotation so stringent that it has to be when those players always come in instead of
Jerry's on it this morning, boy.
Yeah, Jerry is on one right now. He just
tell me more.
I'm just saying, like, it shouldn't be something that we have to talk about. I remember when we did Knicks at Night or whatever it was called.
Knicks Nightcap.
Knicks Nightcap. Yeah, Knicks Nightcap.
No one remembers. No, even before that. Even before that, when we did the Knights one.
Yeah, I forgot what we called that one.
I don't remember what it was called, but we were having a talk with Jerry then, 2 seasons ago, about the freaking rotations and the 3-point line. I feel like we could have just copied that episode and did it again and just put a freaking thing of Hector up in the corner, and we would have had an early, easy morning this morning. So
Double A with the 199. Fellas, we can't keep playing 3-on-5 on offense. Can't argue that. Paris with the $10. Proud of Grimes for speaking up. Can't expect me to get my shot right by getting bailout pass attempts 14 minutes into a game. Randle, RJ, and runs are a big part of his regression. He needs volume shots. Jerry, I'm going to let you pick. Do you want to talk Grimes now, or do you want to talk, if we have to pick who to blame last night, which one do you want to go? What route are you in the mood for first? Jerry?
We could pick who to blame because I think that'll lead us into the Grimes talk. Last little piece is like the thing that's always been looming is Tibbs historically is like not like a win now coach. He's always developed young talent well, but like when he gets his guys, he gets his guys. And, you know, some guys flourish under Tibbs and some guys don't. Mm-hmm. And right now if we're at a real crossroad, okay, I'm holding on to all sorts of it. The real crossroad isn't like, oh, blow it up, jump ship, or a middle of the road team. The real crossroad is going to be, you know, are we sticking with the young, just develop the young and let's see where we fly? Or are we going to try to shake up the roster a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
And there's only one person right now that even shakes the snow globe. Merry Christmas. And I guess we'll talk about him too. But like, that's the thing with Tibbs. We saw with Obi. Obi was developing, maybe not as fast as everybody would have liked, including himself. And I think they did the right thing by letting him go, not for the organization, but for Obi, right? And what will be. Is that happening with Grimes again? right? Like, are we now like, hey, a lot of talent there, but in this system, the way this team is run, this guy's never going to get a real opportunity to show his skills. And it's actually a decline now. We're in a slight decline of Quentin Grimes. Defensively, he's always trying and guarding. I love his shot. It always, I feel like, is going in, and it's a quick release. It's just not going in. And there's zero playmaking coming from him when even last year there was more. So that's really what Knicks fans need to start thinking about, which will lead us to everywhere else the show is going.
But when we was on playback last night, Jerry, you brought it up. The fact that he just sits in the corner.
He's a cone.
He just stays there, and he's not making Damian Lillard work on the defensive side of things, like Paris and like everybody is saying. We're literally out there playing 3-on-5.
The system is the system, right? We're a drive and kick team. We don't even run pick and roll, really. We run bullshit picks to get the switches we want, and then we ISO. And it's a drive and kick and swing the ball around. So, yeah, would it be nice if there was some kind of backdoor something, or like, hey, you know what? Give it to him more on the wing and let him just go at Damian. There's a few plays, me and Heck even noticed that like Damian Lillard was really standing there.
Yeah.
Grimes is in the corner, Randle's driving, and like he just like reached in on the drive, but like didn't even have to go far to recover. And he's just resting.
Yeah.
It's like a boxer just getting an extra recovery round.
I want to give nice a shout out.
Like it's like Joe Pesci. I know when I'm resting, I'm resting. That was what Dame was saying in Goodfellas. I know when I'm resting, I'm resting.
Knicks are nice. That's because we got a good chat, bro. We got a great community.
Yeah, nobody in this chat.
Nobody in this chat is saying
no. We're not talking about. What I mean by blow it up is like, are we going to part ways with the Quentin Grimes, put RJ on the list, whatever? You know, are we going to start turning over the young guys for more veteran players?
Yeah, I mean, so we all saw the report, right? So Grimes talking about it, you know, feeling that he's that corner guy. I got beat up a little bit the other day, Jerry, on Monday. And because I pointed out, like, maybe the other four guys love the fact that Grimes is there, not doing a damn thing and playing that Obi role standing in the corner so they can do their game, because if he was actually doing what he's supposed to do, they're not getting what they want. So I don't know. Are we on the side of, he spoke up for himself? Are we on the side of stop making excuses? Where are you at on the whole Grimes thing, Heck?
Listen, when it comes to Quentin Grimes, like you just said, and like I was saying with the conversation Jerry and I was having last night, he's just a cone out there. He just parks himself at the 3-point line. And to Jerry's point, yes, we are a pick and roll team, drive to the lane, kick it out to the open guy, but he could still go east to west on the baseline. He could still move around that court and just instead of just being just standing right in the corner. You got to be more creative, and I put more of this blame on Tom Thibodeau more than anyone else besides Quentin Grimes, because if you know that you have a player and you're not getting the best out of him as a coach, you got to do whatever you can to get this guy in gear. Call some plays for him. Call something for Quentin Grimes to get him in the flow of the offense. If not, you're just going to lose him. And like Jerry said, his value is going to be his value is going to go down. Who's going to want to trade for Quentin Grimes when he's struggling this bad? How many games?
You can get him cheap is what it is. I think people will still want him, but they know they just don't have
his value is going to be low. You're not going to get what you could get back. We got a 2nd round pick for Obi Toppin. With the way that Obi Toppin has been playing this season, you could justify a protected 1st round pick for Obi Toppin, but we got a 2nd round pick. And shout out to Jacob Toppin playing 2 minutes last night.
Had a block shot.
That was my highlight of the night, watching Jacob Toppin.
So this is where I'm gonna go in, because I've been giving Tibbs, a lot of praise for certain things he's been doing, but it comes to a point when you start hearing the same thing from multiple players, like over and over again. And the fan base that is so pro Tibbs that they can't, see things with actually unbiased eyes, they want to ignore the fact that Obi Toppin had that issue where he was saying he felt like if he missed a shot, he would get pulled. Like it rocked with his confidence. He wasn't able to play to his strengths. He wasn't able to really fit into the system because they wanted him to be this corner 3 guy. Oh, well, Obi's just a bench player, jealous of Randle. So that's why he, made comments. Cool. So they wrote that off. Cam Reddish said the same kind of thing. Fans have written that off. Evan Fournier. Well, Evan's just saying it because he doesn't get any playing time and he wants to force a trade. He just hates Tibbs. Okay, so now they're throwing away the same thing that those other two players said they throw away for Evan. Josh Hart says it less than a week and a half ago that he does not feel like he's able to actually fit into the offense and that he's not able to actually like contribute or get touches or this, that, and whatever. And we write it off because then he plays good the next game and you're like, it was just you, Josh. It wasn't anyone else's issue. Da 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 da. And now that Grimes is saying it, people are like, oh, Grimes is just playing bad, so that's why he's coming up with excuses. Like, it's the same excuse for every single person. You see the Tibbs system in that starting lineup, especially whoever is not Brunson, RJ, or Randle, sit in the corner, wait for a shot to try and help us out at the end. Like that is a frustrating thing to see. That's a very, very frustrating thing to see. So if the whole issue is the same thing over and over again, then it's got to be the common denominator. And that common denominator is Tibbs. Tibbs allowing these players to actually fall into a system that is more of a team basketball as opposed to these three guys and then you're our bailout guy. So, yes, Grimes needs to hit shots, but I also can't blame him solely for what we're seeing because it's like a 16-year-old, 16-year-old. Yeah, they know how to drive. Yeah, they have the capability to drive.
I'm not getting in the car.
I'm not getting in the car.
If you don't got keys, if your mom or pops doesn't give you any keys, it doesn't matter if you can drive. And when you finally are able to, you're probably not going to be driving like a pro straight off the bat if you've never been able to get behind the wheel because your parents didn't let you. Like, I know kids that never drove a car until, I was in a youth program and I was, talking with them and whatever, and they're, 19, finally getting to learn how to drive, And so I don't blame the kid. I blame the person that gives the keys, and that's Tibbs. So I can't fully blame Grimes. Yes, he's got to hit shots, but you can't make someone a microwave oven that's not. Only certain players are.
Is Grimes, because we've been talking about, isn't the narrative that Grimes is Tibbs' guy? And then here he is saying that he's not comfortable in the system. Does that change?
He just threw Tibbs under the bus.
Yeah.
To me, it sounds like To me, it seems like Grimes threw Tibbs under the bus with those comments. Am I wrong for saying that? Anybody, Jerry? Am I wrong?
No, but no, you're absolutely right. But is it throwing under the bus, or at some point you gotta stick up for yourself a little bit? And look, it's like the chicken and the egg. What comes first, right? Is Grimes out of rhythm because he's just having a bad year? And he just needs to figure out, even if he's getting three corner threes, he needs to figure out a way to hit two of them and then keep in the flow. Like, is it on him or is it on Tibbs for not giving him the room? I could tell you what, from what I saw last night, and I don't know, I would love to add, if I could talk to the Bucks coaches, I would say, because you heard a little bit in the pregame, they were talking about pack the middle. They did not look concerned about Grimes shooting. And
why would they?
In my opinion, right? He is a good, if you look at his number, he has to be on scouting reports as this guy, if he has an open look, it's dangerous. Get a hand out there, close out. It did not look to me like the Bucks were that fearful of, all right, well, we overcommitted to a Randle drive and Grimes is open. Or maybe because Randle was so dominant, they were just trying to figure out a way to stop him, but they didn't look that concerned by Grimes. And it shows not only by his shot attempts, he got one shot, missed it, played good defense. Tibbs pulled him. So maybe it just was that game. I don't know. You could get mad at Tibbs for a lot of things, and maybe this is something he needs to be called out for, but you're not really effective.
Yeah. And you are saying
DiVincenzo's been, Hart's been, so I'm going to go with the guys who are more effective in this moment. Does it mean that I'm giving up on you for the year? No, but
you know what bothers me? And again, great. Okay, you found your voice. Congratulations. The sister traveling, blah, blah, whatever. But my thing is, why last night? Now, what, you want to pack on when it's after a loss like that? Where was that voice the whole beginning of the season. You've been in the starting lineup this entire time. You haven't been doing anything. Yes,
so you're mad at Grimes for speaking up.
It's just, I felt like the timing was horrible. Show me that a week ago. Like, okay, now you're just going to go with the coach. I don't care, but he wasn't. You know, like, I'm sorry. Yes, we all know about Tibbs. And Phil, I know you're trying to combat me. Thank goodness your microphone was muted.
All right.
Go ahead.
So here's the issue.
Ready.
If he would have done it after a great win, you would be on this show talking about, really, bro, while everyone's trying to celebrate.
I'm not even saying the win. I'm saying period. Like, where was he this whole time? Now you're going to go the route of where's the accountability of I haven't found my shot. I've been hesitant. I'm not confident.
You're my brother. Yes. You're my brother. I have seen you work for crap bosses in your life and finally get to a breaking point where you're like, screw this dude. I don't care what this makes me look like. I'm sick of the bull crap that I've been doing for this person and them taking it for granted. And then you've spoken up. So that's ridiculous, because if he would have done it on a high, people would have said that he's selfish and making it all about himself instead of the fact that the Knicks are winning as a team and play as a team. He would have gotten the same thing that Tibbs did to Josh Hart, where Tibbs said, well, we're winning, just do your part and play your game. Like, that was his response to Hart because we were winning. So if Hart would have done it when it was a bad situation, he would have gotten crucified by certain fans. Do it in a good situation, crucified by certain fans. Bottom line, if it's the same critique that these players are saying time and time again, there is a common issue. Like, you can't ignore it. Like, you hear it once and you're like, yeah, like in high school, you hear some guy's a little bit scummy and you're like, I'm not going to judge him. Then you hear another girl say he's a scumbag. Another girl say he's a scumbag. Then you're like, yo, this guy's a scumbag. Like, there's like 15 girls that have just said this guy's a scumbag. But, like, he must be a scumbag.
Okay,
but Phil,
go ahead, Heck. Go ahead.
No, I just want to say there's a difference between what Josh Hart said and there's a difference between what Quentin Grimes said. When Josh Hart came out, he was holding himself accountable, saying that he's been playing bad. He hasn't been able to find his rhythm and his new position as a backup power forward. Quentin Grimes blamed everything on the system. He didn't hold himself accountable. He didn't say, I'm playing this bad because of me, because I'm not hitting my shots. He said it's kind of hard to find your rhythm when you're just sitting around there and not getting the ball for a whole quarter. So there's a stark difference in what Josh Hart said and what Quentin Grimes said.
Agree. I just went and looked at like the last 10 games since he came back from that quick little injury.
Yeah.
He's just not shooting well. It's just the bottom line.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, if he would have called it, thank you.
Like, and you look at it and it's like he's playing 18, 20 minutes. Now, what I love about Grimes, which is what we talked about even on the playback, is even if he's not shooting well, you still got to give him some minutes because of what he does on defense. And he does a lot for the team on defense. But I agree. If he would have came out during the mini win streak saying like, yeah, I'm just shooting poorly because I can't get my rhythm. I don't know where I fit with this offense. It's like, shut the fuck up. You can't say that then. And but by the way, both things could be true. He genuinely can feel this way. So he finally said it. I didn't think what he said was wrong. And you could see it. You could see when he gets his shots. It's not comfortable. His form is beautiful and his stroke is beautiful, but you could just see that's like one shot and then a quarter or and a half will go by and you won't get another shot. So, and this is the thing when I was saying with Tibbs, it's like, he's not a win now guy because he's always developed teams with his guys, but he gets his guys and he's already in like playoff mode. You heard him talking about how much he loves to win. So like if what's working is Grimes, you get 2 or 3 corner threes a game and play good defense. That's your role. If it's working, he ain't changing shit. And then till last night, it's been working. So Tibbs is not going to change. If you get 3 or 4 corner threes a game and you play good defense and let Randle and Brunson cook in our defense. And that's what was worked.
Yeah, and my thing, Heck, hold on, Phil. My thing is to stick on the Grimes thing is I look at it from this point of view. What's an easier change right now, today? Is it easier to say, oh, let's all go and say, let's go through another season of fire Tibbs? When, by the way, we have
changed everything. The guy changed everything.
Exactly. So you've got 2 options. If you just put it, for me, black and white, fire Tibbs or get Quentin Grimes' ass out of the starting rotation, because when Dante comes in, Dante seems to just fine with Tibbs' system.
Yeah.
So hold on a second. What is a more realistic option for me? You already work for the coach that doesn't make the adjustments. That's fine.
Double A said it perfectly.
We're still winning. Oh, there we go.
Of course, Dante is perfect for that situation. Dante has always been a solely catch and shoot shooter. So you're fitting someone into the system instead of trying to fit that the system into that person. There's a huge difference. And so
and that's
if
what
you
we should
look
be
at what Hector was saying, he said, Josh Hart's statement is different. Let's clarify. Josh Hart, I'm more someone who can get in the lane and find guys and stuff like that. I'm capable of making shots. When you don't have a rhythm like that, or you don't feel included, it's sometimes tough not touching it and having to catch and shoot. So that whole part wasn't anything to do with accountability. He said at the end of that he is taking accountability.
Did he call out the system?
What?
Did he call out the system?
He called out the system? He said
he called out the system.
Is someone. Yes, he did.
Emotions are running high today.
I'm just saying, because when listen to what Josh Hart said and listen to what Quentin Grimes said, those are two different things. Quentin Grimes called out the system.
When you don't have a rhythm like that or don't feel included, it's tough not touching it and then having to catch and shoot. That's Josh Hart's thing, that he is used as a solely catch and shoot shooter. And Quentin Grimes, pretty much the same exact thing. Quentin Grimes said, it's tough to find a rhythm when I rarely touch the ball, stand in the corner, and get subbed out after missing a shot. Those are word for word. You could say who said what, and it's the same exact freaking quote. Not being able to get touches, then being expected to catch and shoot the ball. Same exact. Let's call a spade a spade. That's exactly what they both said. You could interchange those sentences, and it's the same exact thing. Matter of fact, Josh Hart, even more so, went in a little more on the system, saying that he is actually a player that does two things that he's not been allowed to do this season. So Josh Hart would be the one that called out the system more so.
What are those two things he does that he's not been allowed to do?
He said that he's a guy who can get in the lane and find guys to assist to.
I feel like he's been doing that a little bit. I mean, this is so crazy. We're in such good position, and
I don't think it's
for the record, we're 12-8. For the record, we're 12-8. Well, Jerry, I asked it last night on playback, right? If anybody came up to us and said, "Hey, here's the schedule through 20 games, would you guys be happy for 12-8?" I know I personally would still sign up for a 12-8 record with the teams that we face, but last night, again, it brings a lot of questions on what's the right move, right? And that's why we're always stuck in the same, who are we trading for? Who do we have to get? Is there anybody outside? Okay, I'll start with you, Jerry. Is there anybody on this team that you have on your list of untouchable? If you have your untouchable list, and who else is available just for trade?
I mean, untouchable is such a bold word, right? But like Brunson's untouchable, right? I'm not going to say Randle's untouchable, but he's kind of like unmovable. He's the most polarizing all-star, maybe of all time. Like all-star level player that no one will give you fair market value for his actual production. So I'm going to put him on the untouchable list for other reasons. Okay. No, because I just think currently, again, if you look at the way the NBA is constructed, if you really want to reach the finals, you need a top 7 guy or 2 top 10 guys, like however you want to cook it up. That's just what's working. Just like if you went back years ago, you needed a big 3. The big 3 is gone now, right? No one has a big 3 anymore. It's either a big 1 with good complementary players or like a 1-2 LeBron AD punch. So it's just the way it's evolving. So no, if we had a shot at Giannis, which I don't think we do, Embiid, like those top 5-7 players, no one's untouchable for that. But I just don't see the Knicks getting one of those guys. I think it's gonna, and that's why I like the way. And again, we give Tibbs a lot of shit, but like he's treating this team like they're a championship contender, and we know they're not. But he might not believe that in his mind because he's competitive. he probably thinks he could get this team to the finals. Maybe I'd love to ask him that, like truth serum talk, not like on the record. Take him out for a drink, give him one of my edibles, and be like, "Yo, you think this team could actually reach the finals currently constructed?" Yeah,
Obi.
But so that's gonna be really where the rubber meets the road. Like, are we gonna stick with what we have because we're ahead of schedule and back in the playoffs where we belong, or are we gonna do and we'll talk about it, like the DeRozan-esque move? Which, man, honestly, I've been thinking about this a lot. I'm not saying this is the time to talk about it, but I still like where we're at. I feel for Grimes to wrap it up. I believe in Grimes. I really do. I know that shot is an NBA shot. That trigger is an NBA trigger. His defense is, and he has attributes that are starting level. He just hasn't played like it. And it's a combination. Maybe both things could be true. You're playing bad and the system is not benefiting you right now. Maybe it's both.
Oh, so you mean like 3 weeks ago when we all were saying, hey, maybe take him out of that starting rotation before you beat his confidence too much, before we get to a point, oh, where are we?
Doesn't that kill it? All right, so you take the guy out of the starting rotation. That doesn't kill his confidence? That probably might be the end.
That might be in a situation where he's just saying it's the system. He's stuck in a corner. He misses one shot.
But he's right. He's been missing every shot. He said facts.
But he's also missing every shot that he's still in the game.
Both things are true.
Exactly.
Both things are true.
Both things are true.
Go ahead, Heck. He's got his finger up.
Yeah. I just want to have my finger up because Phil omitted something when he was reading those Josh Hart quotes.
Oh,
and
no.
you left the end part out.
No, I didn't. I said at the end he needs accountability.
Community notes.
Can I read what I
have? Yeah, and then I want you. Hold on. And then as soon as the episode's done, as soon as the episode's done, I want you to have some homework.
You let me know.
And actually watch the episode. Watch the episode where I said it wasn't until the end that he took accountability.
No. We're talking about what we was just talking about on this show. When I brought it up about
rewind it, and you'll see I did. Rewind it. I said it wasn't until the end after he pointed out where he fits in the system.
But you said that after what I said, you said that that's not holding himself or being accountable. When at the end,
I said in the second half he he held himself accountable for where he fits in that system.
Jerry,
but he even said, I even said it. I said, this is where he calls out the system, and it's not until the second half that he takes any responsibility for how he can adjust to it.
What do you mean second half?
Watch the episode.
What do you mean second half?
The end of that quote.
But you didn't. You left that part out of the quote, is what I'm saying.
Yes, I told you that I didn't read the second half of the quote where he held himself accountable to how he can make it work.
But you said when I said that he held himself accountable, that's not someone holding himself accountable.
No, I said the beginning portion of it has nothing to do with accountability. It has to do with the system. You said he didn't call out the system, that he only called out himself. I said
I said he held himself accountable, and that's the difference between him and Quentin Grimes, is because I said he held himself accountable. You said he didn't hold himself accountable. When the
I didn't. Rewatch the freaking episode.
I would like to point out Jerry just did a super chat for $1.99, and he said super chat for Hector.
Your community notes just deserve $2 right there.
Okay, I'm just saying. You said when I said.
I'm gonna get off the episode. I'm gonna get off the episode real quick. I'm gonna screen share it, and then we're gonna use the end of the episode to watch
hold on, Phil, hold on.
But
you didn't say that that's not holding himself accountable.
No, I didn't. I didn't. I said he did not hold himself accountable till the second half of his quote. But I'm not gonna even read the rest of the quote then.
This is how me and my wife talk.
At the end, he said, so it's definitely something I'm working on, and hopefully I get in a better rhythm. So when I said what Josh Hart said was holding himself accountable, which when you read that, so it's definitely something I'm working on, and hopefully I get in a better rhythm. To me, that sounds like accountability.
Yes, you are completely right. The second half of the quote did exactly what I said it did. Oh, thank you.
But
appreciate that.
Okay.
I feel like I did this. I feel like I came in like the Joker today, and I just rubbed
No,
off on
because
everybody.
I said what Josh Hart said was holding himself accountable. When Phil read it and read what Quentin Grimes said, he said that wasn't holding himself accountable. That's all I'm saying.
At all. You got some revisionist history, guy.
I have no revisionist history. I'm listening.
I like you, Dale said. What you talk about, Willis? All right, listen.
Do you know who really loses here too? JJ Redick. Because we had to watch all those workout videos. Quentin Grimes is working out with JJ Redick. Look out now.
JJ's like, damn it. It's
And
making me look really
yeah,
bad.
I don't know if he's going to be getting paid like Olajuwon gets paid to train dudes.
Listen, this is one of those topics, guys. When it comes to
we
Grimes,
just did 30 on Quentin Grimes. No one's doing that
for real.
in the Knicks content world. No one.
Oh
We love you,
my
Quentin.
God.
We love you, and we believe in you here. I believe. I'm not selling Quentin Grimes stock.
I've said it every week. We don't have to trade
Ron.
him. Ron said, we are
Ron.
going back to last year. Sim from MBK had Grimes training on the show, and one of the talking points that the trainer mentioned was stand in the corner waiting for the ball. No one's arguing.
But
the
look
system.
at every but look at what the Bucks did last night. The Bucks and the Knicks were running the same offense, except they just have when because they don't even run that pick and roll with him and Giannis a ton. They do run it when they need it, and they have elite players doing it. But guys are having wide open looks in the corner and making them. Green, we talked about Green. Malik Beasley had, I mean, just open looks everywhere.
I love Black Eddie said it's turning into Shannon Skip on here. Hector over here, like, come on, Phil.
Phil.
Okay, let's breathe. You know what? Let me piss you guys off some more because I found this tweet, and this guy said it's past the time for the Knicks to make their move for a star, but for that to happen, the right guy has to become available. I also think it's time to seriously consider using RJ Barrett as the bait for a star. Barrett just hasn't shown enough growth to become an untouchable asset.
Why are you busting this out? Why are you busting this?
Because we're talking about what's untouchable. And now you've got everybody now. Same thing with RJ.
But that's an incomplete tweet. Those are the exact things that drive me nuts. What star, you maniac?
Exactly.
What star? What franchise is gonna say we're gonna give up our top 7 player? There needs to be an unhappy star or a player who's out from under a contract. Like the next one up is Donovan Mitchell, probably. Whatever happens with the Clippers, who knows, with Kawhi and Paul George, however you feel about them. But the next one up is going to be Donovan Mitchell in a year and a half. So the Cavs are going to have to start figuring stuff out around this time next year if they don't have a lot of success, So who are we talking? We talking about Anthony Davis? Who are we talking about? Karl Anthony Towns on one of the best teams in the West? Who are we talking about? Yeah, Embiid actually finally has maybe the team of his dreams right now. Who's a star?
Is not the piece. Well, you know what? Since we're talking about the start, Jerry, we haven't gotten your intake and your opinion on the DeRozan stuff. Where are you at with the DeRozan name?
If we're gonna do this is a long not a long conversation, but I've thought about this a lot. I can't wait to hear your guys' thoughts. I don't know. This is really intriguing. There's levels to this one. If this is even real smoke, who knows? Teams put out stuff like they might just be trying to get. Maybe it's only the Heat, and they want to get the Heat to bid up. Or maybe it's the Heat and the Lakers, and they're trying to throw a third team in there, use the Knicks, because that'll drive up the price. Who knows, right? Yeah. Who knows? But that is a very intriguing situation.
Shout out to Theo Al in the chat. Al Centro, what it do?
What up, bro?
Salute.
Go ahead, Jerry.
No, I don't even know if I could lead this one off. It's a very intriguing thing. And let's give some credence to, I think it was Bleacher Report, whoever reported on the potential deal, which was, what was it? Grimes, Sims,
and
the Dallas first, right?
And Fournier.
And Fournier for salary, right? So it would be nice to have Fournier involved in something that brings us something back. That Dallas pick, if that is the deal, I'm fine with that. We have tons of picks. Really don't bother me at this point unless we're giving up unprotected picks of our own in the future. And really the Grimes piece, which you could debate. But I'm starting to think, okay, well, say that makes sense and you do get DeRozan, right? And a lot now happens to the team. RJ goes down to the 2, which is nice. And DeRozan is a legit 6'5", 6'6", 3, and that's nice. And you look at his game, one of the best perimeter mid-range offensive players in the league, in my opinion, in terms of just elbow extended, mid-range game, the long twos, all that. He does it. Him and Shea probably is like the best.
Mm-hmm.
But the problems that come with that are he's another sort of ISO player, right? Needs to have the ball and volume. Not really a three-point shooter. I mean, he's gotten better over the years, but not someone that teams are going to be closing out. So the court is going to shrink. And now we have 3 isolation players who all like the ball in relatively the same spots. And, you know, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because the guy's a bucket. And when you need 2 points, it's nice to have a third option. We know Brunson could do it. We know Randle, when he's right, can do it. It's nice to have a third option to say, hey, look, DeMar, just go get us a bucket. A little bit better defender than he gets credit for. He's definitely not a lockdown perimeter defender, but I don't think he's a negative. I'm sure someone could point out stats to correct me or validate that. It's very, very interesting. And then you look at it like, okay, well, where does that get us, right? You put him in that Miami series last year with DiVincenzo. Does that swing it? Very well might. It was game 6, 1 possession. Brunson had a turnover. You know, we score there. We're going back to the Garden for game 7. Maybe that swings it. I don't know what that does in the next round after that, but it's an interesting deal that I'm thinking long and hard about, because that early part of his Chicago run, that dude was hitting game winners. There was MVP talk for the first couple of months. And, you know, I think Lonzo Ball having those horrific injuries really just decimated that team. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts. I'm like split right now, and I'm just making the cases for both sides until I land on a opinion.
For me, when it comes to DeRozan, and Phil, you know I love you, you handsome bastard. When it comes to DeRozan, like you said, Jerry, last night when we was on playback, and I said this on our last show on Monday, there's 2 reasons why you're trading for DeRozan. You're trading for DeRozan to help you with your offense, and you're trading for DeRozan to make sure he doesn't go to the Miami Heat. Those are the 2 reasons why you're trading for DeMar DeRozan.
Because he will kill us in the playoffs.
Especially with Jimmy Butler in Miami, right? If we match up with them in the second round again. You're not trading for DeRozan because he's that piece that's going to take you over the hump and make you a championship contender automatically. No, that's not what you're trading for DeRozan. Like I said, you're trading for DeRozan because your offense needs to help, and you're stopping him from going to Miami. Now, does DeRozan help you out in the future? I'm not sure, right? Because he's making 25 or 28 million right now. He's going to be a free agent after this year. He's on the opposite side of 35. So next year in the offseason, he's not going to sign for 20 million or 50. He may take that veteran minimum, whether that's with the Knicks or whether that's with someone else.
He wants to win as well. We know he wants to win.
You handle that in the summertime. You wait for that in the summertime. But as of right now, on paper, what's a better starting lineup? Having our lineup with Quentin Grimes in it, or having a lineup with DeMar DeRozan? And you got to say it's with DeMar DeRozan right now. And with what you're just giving up, it's just Fournier, it's Jericho Sims, Quentin Grimes, and a draft pick from the Mavericks that we're not sure if it's going to even convert.
Yeah, and I'm with Hector. Like, for me, it's a no-brainer when it comes to DeMar DeRozan. Like, especially if that's the trade. You got to think about it. Sim comes in if we're blown out, or we've already blown out a team, and gets maybe 60 seconds a game. We don't care about that. You know, like, that's really not developing him. We're not really seeing him become part of this, you know, system. Evan Fournier has been taking money from us with 2 minutes this season before he got injured. Like, we aren't really utilizing him. In my opinion, it never should have been Fournier. It should have been DeRozan from the get-go. It was offered to us, both contracts, pretty much the same amount. We didn't go with DeRozan. We went with Fournier. Horrible move, in my opinion. So when you look at DeRozan, what we're giving up isn't really that big of a deal. And if you look at our picks, if we didn't go into, you know, the desire to draft in the last draft, which had a pretty good draft class, and we're at this point of the season saying, actually, who's even going to be in the draft next year? Like, I haven't seen a bunch of like buzz about the players that will be drafted next year anyway. If we didn't buy into drafting someone last season, last offseason, I don't really care as much about this offseason. Last offseason would have been the one to do it. So trading away a pick doesn't really bother me either, because at the end of the day, those are three things that we're not utilizing as opposed to a player that fits a niche for us. We don't necessarily need a three-point shooter. Said this last episode, Jalen Brunson is in the top 5 for shooting three-point percentage right now in the NBA. At least he was before this last game. So getting someone that can shoot and allow Brunson to catch even more catch and shoot three-pointers is huge. Like, he's got the confidence, and that's what we need. We need someone who's clutch that can finish. As great as Randle is, he's still not that clutch. Give the ball to him in the last few seconds. Put a double team on him, and he will crumble. DeRozan, you've seen it time and time again. We can make highlight films of all the game winners DeRozan has had with 2 to 3 defenders trying to stop him in a game-winning shot. Look at that last game that you talked about with the Heat. If Jalen Brunson would have had a DeMar DeRozan, he would not have been so skeptical about passing the ball out, because he would have known that there's a potential someone that can take the shot and that he didn't need to be the only one to take that final shot. So I think DeRozan adds a lot, and him being a rental is a good thing. It allows us to say, hey, this is going to actually help us, because let's look at it right now. With our roster right now, we're not going to compete with the Milwaukees and the Bostons in 7. You know, getting a player like DeRozan can at least make us more competitive in the playoffs. And then it shows us what we have. Half a season with him, we'll go, okay, do we actually extend this guy, or do we let him walk? Now Fournier's off the books. Now this is off the books. Now we look into trading in the offseason. So we're not committed to a guy who's 35 years old. We're committed to a guy who's 35 years old for half a season. And if it works out, then we think about whether we bring him on for a vet minimum or if we let him walk. Either way. That's the thing.
I know it's early, but he is at his all-time high 3-point percentage. Still not a ton of attempts. He only takes 2.5 attempts a game.
But his usage is down. If you look at his stats, Jerry, his usage over the past 3 years is down.
But he's still up with the 5 assists, which I like. I mean, look, it checks out as long as it doesn't decimate the defense.
Well, I'm still on the side of I don't want DeRozan. And I mean, I get it. Everybody's points. I get it. But I feel like every single step is a catch-22. Because look about it. You're about to say it. You're about to talk about the defense. So if we keep.
I was going to say he does one thing good that our team struggles, and that's knocking down your free throws.
I don't know. I don't see how we get better having DeRozan. I'm sorry. My mind's not convinced, no matter how many episodes, all that. I'm just not. I'm not.
I think he's better offensively.
And I'm sorry. I'm still gonna go because I'm petty. I'm still gonna hold on to the fact that, to me, if you're willing to give up Grimes now when you weren't willing to put him in a package for Donovan, it's front office malpractice. But
it's not. It wasn't only just Grimes. It was R.J. Barrett and Grimes
picks and
tons of picks. I see what you're saying, so don't get me wrong. I do see what you're saying.
I just don't see how DeRozan.
But the upside for DeRozan or how DeRozan moves the needle for us is he's a 15 to 20 point scorer, more than what we're getting out of Quentin Grimes. That extra 15 in the third quarter, when our offense goes stagnant, you have DeMar DeRozan, and like I said, he's able to knock down your free throws. And Phil, I know you brought up the draft. I just want to take a quick second to shout out my guy Hard Will from For the Love of the Game, because when you're looking at the mock draft, his nephew is projected to go into the top 5. Stephon Castle from UConn. He's a point guard and shooting guard. So shout out to my guy Harwell and his nephew for putting in that work, because Harwell is a coach. So I know he was working one-on-one with his nephew. So shout out to the Castle family for that.
That's awesome. And Jigga, here's the thing. DeMar DeRozan, even without a true point guard, because if you look, that whole team was built around having Lonzo Ball facilitating and creating for those kind of players. Lonzo's been gone. They've had to substitute. DeRozan is still getting 21 points a game and almost 5 assists a game. That helps our starting lineup. Like 21 points a game that you can get in the mid-range or from catch and shoot situations, freeing up Jalen Brunson, freeing up RJ Barrett, and someone that's going to be able to catch rebounds. I like Grimes, but if we're actually looking to win,
but that's my thing, Phil. My thing's not about Grimes. It's okay. I get it. DeRozan. I'm not throwing any shade at DeRozan. There's no way you can really throw shade at DeRozan. Yes, he's a good player, but for me, it's hey, if we're gonna keep just talking about the 21 points. For me, I see a guy that can hit 7 3-pointers already in 2 games that can get us those 18 to 21 points from the 3 and still move the ball around. And that's Dante DiVincenzo. And then, you still got IQ there. So my thing is everybody's like, oh, the clutch moments. Well, down 24 points yesterday. Where's the clutch moment that DeRozan's needing that for? Are we walking away winning that game last night because DeRozan's here and not Grimes?
I think it's a lot closer. Definitely a lot closer.
I don't know if anyone's beating the Bucks last night.
Especially when they shot that historic. When you got
60
Malik Beasley 6 of 10 from the field from beyond the arc. You had Damian Lillard 5 for 7 or 5 from 8 from beyond. You're not going to be when you got Giannis knocking down 3-point shots. You're not going to be beating the Bucks that much.
The other thing you got to wonder, and this is a big factor, is if you do get DeRozan and you're sliding RJ down to the 2, what does that look like for RJ? Right? Like, what does that look like defensively? And again, is he now in the Grimes spot in the corner a lot? Who he's actually a really good, pretty good corner 3 shooter as well. But at some point, Grimes is averaging 6 points a game. If you get DeRozan and all you're really giving up in terms of players is Grimes, someone's got to give up shots. Someone's not going to score what they've been scoring. Whether it's Randle, Brunson, RJ, or DeRozan, one of those 4 is not going to be scoring what they've been scoring. Now, do they all take a little, softening of their numbers? And they're like, hey, cool, if we're winning, let's go this way and we'll be good. Someone there's just not enough shots to go around.
I guess my thing then, Jerry, really too, is the reason you do a DeRozan trade is for the pure fact of moving Fournier's contract, moving the money around. If the deal is as simple as everybody's saying, Grimes, Fournier, and some picks, then you do it for the cap space. You do it, like you said, Phil, for the half a season rental. But for me, it's not a trade that should even get as much time as we're giving it right now, because it's nothing that makes me feel like, damn it, we're going even further because we brought DeRozan. I can't be sold on it yet. Maybe I'm just stuck on marketing.
He's been an incredible player since he came into the league, and that's why you get excited, because it is a rental. You don't have to mortgage your team to get a player like DeRozan in this.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Situation.
Like, you're freeing up the space. You're making that moves, but it's not a move to me that can be, here's the cherry on. Don't put a bow on it and tell me this is the move that's gonna take us to the next level. I'm sorry, I can't be sold on it.
No,
now, I can sit here and talk marketing all day, and all of a sudden you got a happy me.
Marketing
play with Randle.
Yeah,
you don't think he would be on this team?
He's also played small forward. He's also played small forward.
I don't trust him. I don't trust him as a small forward. He doesn't have the verticality.
We won't go into the marketing thing because that'll take forever. All right.
No. But like I said, Celso, when we started the conversation, I know we're going to be wrapping up soon. But when I started, and I said DeRozan is not that piece that's going to get us a championship. I said that. What DeRozan is, you block him from going to Miami, and 2, he's going to give you more offensively than whatever Quentin Grimes is giving you. And to Jerry's point, who's going to take less?
You can both give us both than what Grimes is giving us right now.
I don't know about me. I'll pull it. I can set you one solid pick, and that's about it. That's all I can do. But to Jerry's point, but hold on, I'll throw it over to you, Phil. To Jerry's point, when Jerry asks who is going to take less shots, I think it's going to be DeRozan. Because like I said, when you look at his usage rate is down. He's 35 years old, and he understands at the stage of his career, he knows what he is. So if he comes to the lineup and has to deal with Jalen, RJ, and Julius, he's going to be able to move without the ball and find his shots when he can find them. There's going to be stretches where you have RJ and DeRozan on the floor with the second unit. That way DeRozan and RJ can eat, and then you'll have Jalen and Julius being the 1-2s.
Go ahead, Jerry, and then Phil. But I'm gonna tell you guys right now, this chat, I love you. This chat is on fire.
Shout out to the chat. Boy. And smack that like button.
I'm gonna throw a scenario out there with DeRozan too. How does this roster touch you guys? Let me hear. Just this is, by the way, this probably will never happen in a million years, but it is like an insurance model. It is an insurance model against a few things. Randle, Brunson, Robinson, DeRozan, Donovan Mitchell.
No,
Where I'm going with that is, you know, the Knicks model when it comes to Mitchell is we're going to wait till you're a free agent and sign you. But some teams are going to, if the Cavs are not able to keep him, and I think the only way they can keep him is if they reach the finals probably, or get really, really close to reaching the finals, and they feel like if he feels like he's really close to a championship, that's the only way he's probably going to stay. So assuming that's not going to happen, the Cavs, January of next year, 2025, really have to start saying, well, we got to get something for this guy, even if it's like 25 cents on the dollar he's walking out the door. Then if you're the Knicks, do you swoop in and be like, well, all right, well, look, here's RJ, and it helps you maybe hold on to more first-round picks and stuff like that, and maybe keep other pieces that would go along, and maybe that makes RJ more expendable. If RJ's not showing in a year and a half, in a year from now, if he's not showing the promise he's shown this year, if he for some reason takes a dip, you could theoretically extend DeRozan, put RJ in a deal, and that's the team that you're walking into battle with.
So Jerry just let everybody know he hates the country of Canada by having RJ in the trade. Just everybody know that.
I'm just having fun at the end. This is something that's never going to happen. This is not going to happen.
So what that reminds me of, Jerry, is when me and Jigga first started playing NBA 2K.
That's a 2K move.
All we wanted to do was add as many scorers to our roster.
That's right.
And we did not care about defense. We were going to outscore each other back and forth.
Correct.
And that's what that roster is. Like that roster is saying, hey, if any of you guys can play defense against us, we'll lose. But if your defense sucks as bad as our defense, we're going to win. Like that's what that roster is.
Hey,
So
the Pacers are kind of doing that.
Yeah.
That's true.
The thing with DeRozan is, like Hector was saying, a big thing is take him away from Miami. You let him go to Miami, and we are falling in the lineup. Like we're not going to beat that Miami team. It's just not going to happen. Second, what we don't want to happen is where we have these ups and downs, and all of a sudden, our team said this a few episodes ago that is starting to get actual like attention from players that in previous years we wouldn't. We all of a sudden don't make any moves. Other teams do. They get the DeRozans. We fall down the line, and all of a sudden it's not as appealing again to come to New York. DeRozan keeps us appealing, and then if he winds up being a fit, we keep him. If not, we let him go, and we use the fact that we did better this season to continue to build that hype behind what it looks like to become a New York Knick. And I think when it comes to the point system, like you have to look, all of our games have been lopsided to the max. You got games where Brunson scoring 35 to 42. You got Randle shooting, and scoring 35 to 42. RJ in the beginning of the season having those games. So it's kind of been a free-for-all of whoever that game actually can help us because the other guys are sucking. That's what it is. So I think it's one of those things where DeMar can come in because if you look when he came into Chicago, he knew, okay, I want to win. This team is being built so that I can win. I'm going to fit in my role here. He's taken on a bigger role because Ball has been gone. So I think he would be able to fall into that role of being our clutch shooter, putting up buckets when we need them, but not having to be star DeRozan that he was, earlier in his career.
Yeah.
Not sold. All right, I'm sticking with not sold on DeRozan.
I would like to give you guys credit for trying. All right, but
last question for me. Friday we face the Boston Celtics. Is Quentin Grimes in the starting lineup, or is Dante in the starting lineup?
Quentin Grimes for sure. You can't almost pull him after he says that because then it looks like a punishment.
Yeah.
And it starts to look like, oh, well, now you ran your mouth, you're benched. Like that might be the end of Quentin Grimes if he got pulled Friday.
Well, sometimes you got to put people on timeout. I'm just saying.
That's not this NBA anymore, man. You're from a little. That's like the older generation, and you're talking. I agree. I just don't think that these kids today will.
These kids today.
Watch Grimes bounce back because it's just the way. Again, you got to think of things like in terms of a script, right? Grimes will go 4 for 6 from 3. He'll have 12 points, great defensive plays, and we're all going to be like, "What are we thinking?"
I'm waiting for it. I'll be the first one to tell DeRozan to kick rocks if that's the case.
I said it to you last night, Heck, after the Yankees show when we were talking Knicks there a little bit. I said, "Well, you know what? Last time someone opened their mouth, they ended up putting up 15 points in 3 minutes, and that was
also going down with the Grimes ship. He's going down with it, and I might be on there too. I might be on there too with the violin, like the Titanic. I might be on there too, playing music till the end.
Number one, Jerry. So glad you're back. You enjoyed your vacation. Welcome back to the show, bro. Everybody in the chat, you guys literally make this so much fun every single day. Appreciate you guys all showing up. Any last words before we bounce?
Grimes is a sucker.
Who wrote that?
Makes a nice.
I think that's the one. That's the one to end it on, right there. The great laugh. Appreciate everybody in the chat. On that note, deuces.
Deuces.